What's up, guys? My name is Josiah Thomas, here with the Nate Burdine, Natey B on the track.
It's always something new.
Let's go. Always something new with Nate. But you are listening to the COLLAB Season 1, Episode 6. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the comments, all the follows, subscribe, everything you can do on social media. Do it with the podcast, share it with some friends, because we want to continue to have transparent conversations about what's happening in culture, with what's happening within the church, and how do we continue to go after our dreams and after Jesus and everything set before us in life with transparency and with collaboration.
Yeah.
That's why we call it the COLLAB, because we truly believe we are better together, in that there is beauty in diversity. There's beauty in representing the entire kingdom of God. And like, you can say that, but it's like, are you actually collaborating with people? Mm-hmm. Are you actually doing life with people? And so today, we wanted to talk about this statement: "We, not me." We, not me. And I'll kind of set it up. For myself, I don't know which championship game. I think it was the NFC Championship game, LA Rams versus somebody else. I have no idea. And Odell Beckham scored a touchdown and ran over to the sideline and said, "We, not me. We, not me. We, not me." It's like screaming it, yelling it at all of his teammates. Just saying, like, his touchdown wasn't just him; it was because of we. Yeah. And I was following some leadership guru that was kind of unpacking how big this statement was, and this idea that Odell Beckham Jr., NFL player, wide receiver, came from the Cleveland Browns, came from a losing football team, and everything was said that he was in the wrong or he was a jerk. This was all on him and no one else. And then he gets traded and goes to the LA Rams. And within less than a year, after he scores a touchdown in the NFC Championship game, he is screaming one of the values, one of the pillars of LA Rams football. And so within less than a year, the coach, Sean McVay, has ingrained this value of an entire organization to this person who seemed to be not a good teammate. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, that's a crazy leadership lesson for all of us, that, like, how much valuable values and, like, your pillars of your organization matter, and how much you need to talk about it. And just we, not me is so, like, imperative to being successful in society. Yeah. And I think whether it's within the church, whether it's within your organization, whatever your school, a group project, whatever your family, whatever it looks like for you, like, we have to live a life that looks like you over and over saying, "We, not me." And that produces health.
Yeah, that's great. Dang, you went in. Yeah, and it's funny because playing football growing up and knowing football, that's how football works. And so a lot of people will, like, talk about football and, like, oh, it's like life. And a lot of people make fun of it, but in a lot of ways, yeah. And I promise this is going to make sense. But, like, football, you can't just go out there with just a quarterback. Yeah. You go out there with just a quarterback, he's getting cracked. Okay? You can't just go out there with just receivers, because you need someone to throw the receivers. Mm-hmm. They can't just run around all day. Sure, you can do 7-on-7, but there's still, you got to know what's going on. Like, those top quarterbacks in the league, they know everything that's happening. Mm-hmm. You got to know what the guard's doing. You got to know what everyone's doing on the field. And it's interesting to me that, I heard you guys talking, just thinking about it, like, everyone paints OBJ or paints these guys as diva. Oh, he's a diva. Yep. Oh, he's a Kurt. He got some personality now. He's a diva, right? Yeah. And we can go into a different issue with that. But like, oh, he's a diva. He doesn't care about the system. He doesn't care about this. And I'm like, well, what do we know about the Cleveland Brown organization? Yep. As of what we know is, what are the values? Are the values ingrained? And every football team has, like, it all over the walls, their Hall of Famers and what they believe and all that kind of stuff. But as you hear Sean McVay, he knows so much about every player, everything that's going on, every single thing that's happening in his building. Every play. He can name a play from 2013 when he was an assistant coach and what happened. Woo. Have you seen that clip? Yeah. They're like, oh, name what happened in the 2014 NFC Championship. Oh, so yeah, Odell, he swung around, we threw it, and Robert Woods, 20-yard touchdown. Yeah. What? And he knows what anyway. So I just think in life, and the idea of, like, the COLLAB and just what we're doing is so often we And I think it's because of the world that we live in. We spend so much time trying to make our own brand, trying to curate who we are to people, what we do.
Yep.
So many of us want that little those grayed out words under our name that say public figure and what we do, and we do it by ourselves. And I'm not like, me and Joe agree, like those things aren't bad.
Thought leader,
right? Ooh. Like those things aren't bad, but if you're doing it alone, you're probably not in the best spot, probably not in the best place. And so, man, growing up in football, like I hear "we not me" and I get like hyped up. I'm like, I'm ready to go, because you can't operate that way. Like I fully believe I can't do what I do here at Life Center without Josiah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I forgot what the word is. I don't know if it's Ubuntu, but it's like the idea of like, I am because we are.
Yep.
That's the only, and that's the only reason I believe I exist, because the people around me exist. That's just real. And so when I look around, sometimes we spend so much time, and I don't know where we're going, but we spend so much time being combative and competitive with people.
Yep.
We're meant to be together.
Yeah. Where do you think like we lose it from? Like, we're sports people.
Yeah.
Unashamed sports fans.
Yep.
Everything. You know more stats than I do, but I'm a fan. I love it. But where do you think we lose it from? Because I truly believe like when Lauren and I have kids someday, like we will put them in sports. Like, because I believe there's so much you can like learn about teamwork.
Yep.
Like working as a team, collaboration, better together, all these things within sports that are going to help you succeed in life. So where's the disconnect between how great sport organizations do it well, the we not me, and then where that translates into the church, where that translates into our personal life? Where's that disconnect?
Yeah, I think when it comes to these teams and these like especially like a sports team for sure, is you're worried more about the greater mission of everything. So I understand that, man, the guy that cleans my jersey is just as important to this team as the guy that's throwing the footballs to the wide receivers on Sunday night. And I think once we understand those things, that's crucial. Do you believe that the guy who's on social media, you kind of see it on like social media right now, like these sports teams, you know how much they care about what their people are posting on social media?
Yep.
Every NFL team is posting on TikTok and Instagram and all this kind of stuff. Why? They value those social media people. Do you value that person in your place as much as you value the person that let's talk about the church, the person that preaches? Do we value them the same? And I think in football teams, like, I don't know, you probably had a coach say it to you too, like, I don't care how good you think you are.
Yeah. If
someone's playing better than you that day, you'll sit on the bench.
Yep.
And there's been some football games I sat on the bench.
Yep.
I've been like, I know I'm better than that guy, but he'd had a better week of practice than me.
Yep.
And because we're trying to make the team better. And so I think that's where the disconnect is. And everyone's trying to build their own brand. Everyone's about their name and what they're trying to do and all these different things. And I think social media has bogged that down. But like OBJ can have his brand all day.
Yeah.
But if you ain't got no Super Bowl rings, like it hurt a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But now you got a Super Bowl ring, you're like, that didn't just help the team, but it also helped me out. So because when we win, I also win as well. But if I'm just winning, if I'm just getting the stats, I think about it like, let's talk about who I believe the greatest basketball player of all time.
Come on.
LeBron James. I believe is the greatest basketball player of all time. Debate your mama, okay? And
comments right now.
Go to him. He's 4-6. Anyway, all these different things. Like I think LeBron James is great, but even this year, like he has Russell Westbrook on his team, and the thing is he was having amazing games. Russell Westbrook, pretty good. He's dropping triple doubles.
Yep.
But they kept posting about the dude's triple doubles, but we're losing every night.
Yeah.
So he's winning.
Yep.
But the team's not winning.
Yep.
LeBron's the greatest of all time, but the team's not winning.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so and I think they value those things. But I think so often we're trying to build our own brand and get mine first. I'm trying to get what's mine first, but people aren't winning. And I've noticed that since I was in high school, and I got guys that are trying to like, in high school, like I'm going to go to Lincoln because I got to get mine.
Yeah.
What are you gonna get or Lincoln or Mount Tahoma, all these kinds of things, or even coming to Lakes. Like the reason I'm naming these schools is like that's the community I'm in. I'm like, what are you going to get there to get yours? Now, if you're going because you moved or you just want to be a part of a team, awesome. But if you're going to get yours, no matter where you go, it's an issue.
Yeah, and I don't think it's bad like building your own brand, like going after being an entrepreneur, building your platform. Because I think a lot of like within this age of social media, people can be like, oh yeah, push those people down. And not saying that you're doing that, but as you build your brand, as we build the collab, you have to build it in such a way where it's we, not me. Like not where it's so much about the collab that we're shunning and not collaborating with other podcasters, and we're pushing down other people's podcasts, and we're going on their videos and commenting like, follow us, not them.
This
like
isn't the collab.
Yeah, we're not doing that. And so it's like, build your brand, do you, like all that stuff, but do it in such a way that's we, not me. Do it in such a way for where it is for the greater good of humanity. It's for the greater good of culture, everything, and not in a way where you're pushing down other people. Because I don't want people to think like we're saying, hey, don't build your brand.
Yeah.
Don't start a podcast. Don't do this. Like, no, do whatever God has placed on your heart. Whatever you think you're gifted at, do it. But do it in such a way that it is for the greater good, and you're allowing yourself to collaborate with others, and you're allowing others to collaborate with you.
Yep.
Like you have to have that in the midst of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you're spot on. Like, because I think as I say, it's like, oh, then I don't do my thing. I'm like, no, like you are an individual at the end of the day. So the small, like you are an individual, but the choices we make and things we do will affect the people around us. And so, that's just, we talked about the sports world, but in the world like that we live in, it's like, the decisions I make, the things I'm doing, is it helping the people around me win? It's helping the people around me get better. Do I turn down some things so that I can serve this team better? Do I turn up some things so I can serve these people better? And I think so often we're so worried and we're so focused on this perspective and idea of in the world that we're on is like, and I think a lot of people get hurt by it, right? We heard that Saquon Barkley guy talk about it, like, and if I get hurt, that's it. And if I do, I'm gonna be about myself. I'm gonna go in on myself, and that will work for a point. That will work for a time. And I'm sure, like, I can't get into like OBJ's mind, but I'm sure even him was like, okay, this hurt me here. I know what I'm gonna do here. And then he hops into a culture that's like, nah, bruh. It's about us around here. It's about the team. And so, do we ingrain that into our minds? And am I okay with seeing a brother win? You know what I mean? So we may say me and you aren't even on the same team in anything we do in life, but am I okay with seeing you win? Or am I straight hating? Like, oh man, that guy's doing that and doing this. You don't deserve it. Okay, well, that's kind of like that's a me mentality instead of a we mentality. Yeah,
that's good. I think maybe it was a month ago, I was sharing with you, what I felt like God put in my heart was like, hey, you gotta forgive some people. Like you gotta get back into community with some people that you feel like have hurt you. And it was convicting, but I knew it was the right thing to do because I've had like thoughts about people where I'm like, man, this guy's a foolie out here. Like, why he ghosting me like that? Like, bruh, answer the text message. Like, come on. Like, or like we book something, then people don't show up or whatever it is. And I don't think that's necessary on that person solely, but I think we can take it as a personal attack on ourselves. And then now we dictate and define who that person is based on one action, based on one conversation, one short talk. I mean, I was at a conference. I had to fight this because I'm on like this journey of like, hey, I got to forgive some people. They don't even know I have to forgive them, but they've hurt me in the past. And based upon like just not answering phone calls or ghosting or not no-shows for certain meetings. And I was like, I have to forgive these people. On that journey of forgiving these people, I go to this conference where it's like a ton of pastors from all across the U.S. We're just seeing people like doing ministry, multiple campuses, all these things. And I go up to this guy that I met a couple years ago, and I'm like trying to dap him up. I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? So-and-so. And he gives me a little fist bump, and he says, oh, so sorry, I got to go. and just walks away. And I'm like, bro, like, I haven't seen you. I haven't even talked to you in like 5 years.
Wow.
Like, I'm trying to like just say, hey, how's it going? And you just like act like you don't know me. Give me a fist bump. Say, sorry, I gotta go.
Wow.
And like, I was like, ooh, that hurts. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what's pressing in that moment for him that he really has to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to take that on as a personal attack to my character, and don't define him with that single interaction. And so like that idea of we, not me is like, yeah, like let me look for the greater good in other people and not just go me, not just be so me centric that everything's about how I feel, how they've made me feel, how I'm being impacted by it.
Yeah.
But saying no, like I believe in the big C church. I believe in the global church. It's not just about our ministry, what we're doing here at Life Center, but it's like how are we actually doing ministry with the church?
Yeah.
Are we in relationship with the youth pastor down the road? Like, we don't have to be tight. Like, you don't have to be Nate and Joe. Like, you don't have to be best friends, but it's like, you have to love them. And you have to, when you hear their name, you got to have like some good feelings about them. I believe that, like as a church, like be in unity with the body of Christ. And if you don't, like, you got to work on that because it is we, not me at the end of the day. And if you are having harsh feelings or negative thoughts or whatever about another pastor or another church, it's like, man, you got to work on that. And it's like, it's okay to have opinions, but understanding like, man, we're trying to win the kingdom. We're trying to grow the kingdom, win souls of the lost. And where do we miss that when we focus on me?
I'm gonna answer that question because that's good. I think it's, it's funny, we talked about pain and all that kind of stuff last week. And it's just like as I think about the idea of we, not me, and as I think about what you're saying, it's the worst in the church world because it's been mixed with the business world that is in that constant like competition, CEO kind of lifestyle and what we're trying to do. And it's kind of like stepping on people's like shoulders to get to the top. The top of what? Like, you work for God, homie. Like, come on, relax. Like, you can't really go much higher. Like, and for, if you work for Nike, you can get pretty high because you don't work for God and Nike unless you following Jesus. But like, but if you just work for Nike, you can just climb, and you can just climb as high as you want. But I think to answer that question is, do we actually look at people as we're actually supposed to love everyone? Because the world is looking at us and saying, how are you going to love the people around you? Woo. So say I got an issue with the church down the street. That's my thing. My wife knows that. Joe might know that because he's my boy. But like, but I'm not going to tell everyone everything. I think so often we try to tell everyone everything and we create this like us versus them mentality. And now other people get on top of that bandwagon of that us versus them mentality. Hey, did you hear what they did? And it's like, oh, where'd you learn that from? Oh, I learned that from him, from Nate. Wait, isn't he one of the youth pastors? Wait, so Nate's created this beef in our city and put us all against each other because he had an issue with one person one time. So it's funny I remember when you told me you were kind of on this forgiveness journey, you convicted me because I was like, dang. And so I went home and I started texting people that like are in my phone that I've had issues with. And I've been like, hey, yo, praying for your ministry. And because it's really easy to not like someone until you start praying for them. Because then you're like, hey, God, oh yeah, you're God. Like, I'm going to actually pray for this person willingly and openly. And that's how we create that we mentality. Man, we got this. We get to do this. The kingdom, and that's the funny thing, is so often we look at other places, other organizations, I'll share an example. I'm going to just name drop. But it was, so I work for Young Life. And there's also this organization called Youth for Christ. And a lot of people outside, they bring them like in this like combative nature. And like I had to stop and be like, we're doing the same thing. You want to tell kids about Jesus? Oh, you want to tell kids about Jesus? You guys have a couple different mission statements, but y'all doing the same thing. And so I remember people would try to like put me against like, oh, you can't, don't meet with that person. I'm like, what? are you talking about? I'm gonna meet with them because they're
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yep.
and so and I know that sounds funny and like, well, why would you share that story? Because it's real in the Christian world.
Yeah.
It's real. And we always talk about how we need to set the tone for the world in everything, right? And how we live and what we do and how we talk. But do we set the tone in how we treat people and being a team?
Yep.
Oh man, we gotta love everyone. Well, do you?
Mm-hmm. That's so good.
That's how you create a us mentality.
Yeah.
Last story I'll share is like, I remember I was at my brother's. I went to my brother's birthday party. I told you about this, and like I wore a "We Are the Church" sweatshirt. Like, and I'm in a room full of like non-believers.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy. Like I'm like scared.
Yeah.
But I love my brother.
Yeah.
And so I went. It was awesome. And Julia was like just telling everyone what they did, and I was scared to tell people what I did. It was the only place I've ever been terrified to be like, youth pastor. So I was like, I work with youth. I work with troubled youth. No, I'm joking. But I was like scared, and I was scared to share it, not because of who I am, but because the stigma that goes around what I do and what I believe and how I won't be, how I'm not about that we mentality, even with people who may not be following Jesus at the moment. Yeah. And I was scared. And Julia was like, are you okay? I was like tight the whole time. And she's like, you need to calm down. And so the reason I say that is because do we create environments where people feel like they can still come in and collaborate? Still come in and kind of be like, oh, this is a team environment. And so, yeah.
I know there's a question this past week about like a student was like, hey, if I came out as a part of the LGBTQ community, like how would you treat me? And I was like, ooh, spicy question. But it's like my answer was simple. It's like, we would love you. Nothing changes. And it's like, well, that's it. It's like, yes. to some extent, yes. Because like this, I think that topic is better through like face to face. Hey, let's meet. Let's talk about it. If you have questions, let's continue on this journey together. It's not necessarily like, hey, I'm just going to give you one view and that's it. The conversation's over. No, it's a continual conversation with that person. But at the same time, it's like, yes, it's that simple because God so loved the world. God so loved everyone. And so I have to do the best job I can to love everyone, despite differences in opinion, despite preferences, despite gender, despite orientation, all of that. Despite all of that, I have to love them. And I think that's how we get to the we portion. It's like you get outside of me when you look at someone and you see their worth and value that God sees in them.
That's great.
And says, okay, if Josiah's created in the image of God, so Nate's created in the image of God, so these other people that I may like, dislike, whatever opinions, like they're created in the image of God too, whether they believe in Jesus or not. So therefore, I have to love them. And continue on this journey of like, how do I get a better job at being we? And that's not just within the church. I think we have to do a better job within the church as being we, not me organizationally, but that's within the world. How do we continue to do community with people in the world? Like who whatever place you get coffee from, whatever grocery store, like, do you truly believe like this is we? This is my community. This is us. Let's do this together. And like rooting for people who may be atheists, who may hate God, who may hate your church, hate what you do. But it's like, you guys still love them and believe in them because it's we, not me. Yeah.
And did you set the tone in loving them? I think it's funny when you and I go to like coffee places and like, we'll just sit and be like, oh, what's up? What's your name? Like we walk in any coffee place in Tacoma, Josiah knows some baristas. Bro, it's so true. Walks. I thought I knew people. I was like, "What's up, Chase? What's up, Michaela? Oh, Daniel." Like, I'm like, how do you know all these people? There's no Chase. But I think about it like
that's hilarious.
You talked about this week this idea of like perspective, right? And this is like a silly example because you can see the case, right? But like, if like I look at my phone and you look from this way, like. I asked you what color the phone was, right? And say there wasn't the border, right? You'd say it was orange. But I'm going to look at you and be like, bro, this is a black phone. No matter what you say. This is a black phone. If we had a cup, right, and it had a logo on the other side, I'd be like, oh, this cup has no logo. And you'd say, no, the cup has a logo. And so often what we do
Wow.
is as soon as I hear your different perspective, we get angry. We start yelling. We start doing all these kinds of things. And then we create a me mentality.
Yep.
And I think it's because we think we have to be combative with everyone that's around us.
Mm.
And that's what turns me off about my self, like my own beliefs, is when I see people, or even myself, like get combative about other things that are happening in the world. And so what I do is I go, hey, because if I just turn the cup around, oh, snap, you right. And then you turn, oh, you're right too. Like from the perspective that we see. And so I think so often what we have to be, are we willing to listen to other people's perspective? Because perspective doesn't mean it's just what you see. It's what you know. It's what happens, you know? So if I live my life as a black man in America. And so if I share my perspective, you can't be like, no, that's not true.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But you live your life as an Asian man in America. Yeah. And so you share your perspective. I'm like, oh, I can't be like, nah, you don't see it that way.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's real. It's valuable. And I think that's how we also create that. Are we willing to even listen to other perspectives? Are we willing to do that? Because I think what I find is so often we're willing to follow, we're willing to walk with all these people who are the same until they're different. And that's how we create a me mentality, right? Like think about, they talk about this in the I Am Athlete podcast and also the Pivot podcast. Those are, sports podcasts, so they ain't like, holy and all that. But they talk about these ideas, and they talk about the NFL locker room is one of the most beautiful things. Because you got all these people from different walks of life. You got Buddhists, you got Christians, you got young, you got old, you got white, you got black, you got poor, you got rich, you got all these different people. You got a guy who's on a 4-year contract. You got a guy who's fighting for his life to just get on the team. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful dichotomy. All these perspectives, all these lessons. But what do they do when they get on the field? We're on the same team. Woo! We're on the same team. For me, I'm an Eagles fan. We're all Eagles. That's what we do. And so I think about it, it's like, okay, me and you might have different perspectives, but we're on the same team. We're doing the same thing. I think when we look at it as that, that's when we get healthy. What happens is when we you got a different idea. Because imagine if that's how it worked. Okay, I got beef with you now. Okay, now I'm not going to pass you the ball. Now I'm not going to give you opportunity. Now I'm not going to give you things. And then what happens is we create more of a ripple effect or more of a tear in our relationship and in the world, I believe, than if we were just like, different perspective, different ideas, different values. Let's try to put those things together. Just be a team. Yeah,
I love that because it's like every single person you come into contact with, every single individual, you have to fight for like the we mentality to look at them, listen, hear where they're at, and understand like, man, I have insecurities, I have pain, I have hurt, I have dreams. This person is we. This person has those same things. Yep. So based upon whatever they say, wherever they come from, whoever they are, it's like, man, you are me. Like, what I mean? Like, we may have different colors of skin, different backgrounds, but you are me. We were both human. And we talked about on the last one, like, are you human? But it's like, you have to look at people. It's like, oh, you're human. Yeah. And we end up living a me-centric society when we dehumanize people. And we make them objects, not people who have emotions and feelings. And I think we can dehumanize and demonize certain people based upon status. You can go the rich and you can go to the poor. You can go celebrity and the outcast. Like on both ends of the spectrum, you can demonize and dehumanize those people. So it's like, how do we live a life where it's like, no matter where you fall on this line of status in this culture, that you're human. Yeah. And that we value you and you are me. So therefore it's we, not me.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts. Like when you actually like think about that idea, I think about like when like I'm playing basketball, I'm like, it's crazy. Like you got all these people in here. We're just playing one game. We all got different lives, different stories, but we're sitting here and we're all different, but we're all doing this thing together. Like, I always think about like, it's crazy. Like I'm here right now. When I'm 40, there's people in this world that I don't know exist and we'll be best friends. Like, and we don't even know about each other. Yeah. Right. Wow. There's a kid who's 4 years old that one day will work at the place that I may lead. Like, that's how connected we are.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's like a weird way to think about it, but like, that's how connected we really are. It's like, this is crazy. Like,
So
I met you when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I never thought we'd be we would do this together.
Yeah.
Lead Life Center Youth. Like, I never thought that would be the way it would happen.
Wild.
But that's how connected we are as people.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to me. And so I think you're right. It's like, obviously we've talked about humanity, but this idea, like, dang, we're so connected. And it's wild how we even try to make at any point be like, I'm against you. Nah, like it's just wild to me.
We have to fight that every day.
Every day.
We not me.
We not me.
Let's go. Well, that's a wrap.
We'll put that on here next.
Yeah, We Not Me podcast. But thank you guys so much for listening. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Follow on Spotify. Share it. Comment. Subscribe. YouTube. Share it with the homies, the friends, the girls, the ladies, everyone. You know, your grandmama. Like, share it with her. I know she's on social media.
She is.
Like, hey, there's some people in the church, you know, they on social media constantly, and they like 80 years old. And I'm like, hey, they know how to share. They know how to do it. Come on. So encourage you guys, share it with your friends. We love you guys. Thanks so much for just being a part of this community called the COLLAB. Make sure today, this week, We Not Me. Let's get it.
Not me. Peace.